All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My key games for the upcoming weekend in the world of college football. And I'll tell you like this, there are plenty of teams out there that have their sights set on getting to the college football playoff. And those teams, in my opinion, or some of those teams, in my opinion, should be on upset alert this Saturday. I want to start with a big one in the Big Ten as we've got the fifth ranked Indiana Hoosiers taking on the second ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. And of course, the big one in the Big Ten that a lot of people are talking about. Why? Because more than likely the winner of this game is going to get to Indianapolis to face Oregon for the Big Ten championship. And you think about Indiana's magical season as they have, this is the best season in the history of the program. They're 10 and 0. Curt Cignetti, excuse me, has done a tremendous job in turning around this program. But one thing I will say about the Hoosiers, I'm not trying to take anything away from them, just being realistic here. They have not beaten a team that currently has a winning record within the Big Ten, and that is going to be tested this Saturday afternoon in Columbus against Ohio State. I mean, you think about all of the talent that the Buckeyes bring to the forefront. You got Will Howard at quarterback. You got the dynamic running backs, Travion Henderson, and of course Quinshawn Judkins, especially in that power running attack or speed running attack under offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. You think about the talented wide receiver, which includes the likes of Jeremiah Smith. You think about this second ranked Buckeye defense, which includes Sonny Styles. So much talent there, but Indiana is not going to be a pushover. You think about the season that quarterback Curtis Rourke is having, wide receiver Elijah Surratt, running back Justice Ellison, and then you look at this defense for the Hoosiers. They already have 11 interceptions defensively. They're third in the nation defensively. You've got Mikhail Kamara on that defensive line. You've got linebacker Aiden Fisher. And for me, I'm looking at it like this. I think both of these teams need to go out there and set the tone because you know it's going to be electric come Saturday afternoon in Columbus. Indiana wants to do something to get that crowd out of the game. Ohio State wants to do something to keep that momentum and build off of that and really put the pressure on these Hoosiers. I'll tell you like this: the Buckeyes come in favored big at home, as expected. Okay, top five battle for Ryan Day. What's going to become of that for him? But I'll tell you like this: I'm going with Ohio State in this game. They're 12-point favorites. They're going to have to work for it, but I'm going to take the Buckeyes by the score of 37-24. Now, in the Southeastern Conference, you've got ninth ranked Ole Miss traveling to the Swamp to take on the Florida Gators. Ole Miss has their sights set on getting to the college football playoff, but they can't look past the Florida Gators. We saw these Florida Gators get the best of LSU at home last week. And after starting the season so bad with arguably the toughest schedule in the nation, things are really turning around for Florida. But nonetheless, they are 11.5 point underdogs at home. A lot of talent on this Ole Miss team. You think about Jackson Dart at quarterback, running back Henry Parrish, wide receivers Trey Harris and Caden Lee, and then this Ole Miss defense, which is actually ranked 16th in the nation, with linebackers Chris Paul, Suntarine Perkins, and of course defensive end Princely Uman Melon. Okay, hope I pronounced that right. But nonetheless, for Florida, they got to try to keep the momentum going. It won't be easy, but I will say this: the Gators' offense looks a lot different when DJ Lagway is at quarterback, and I think he is definitely the guy for the future in Billy Napier's system in Gainesville. There's young talent there for Florida with the likes of Elijah Badger and running back Jaden Bow. But we saw Florida get the best of LSU last week. I don't think it happens 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to take Ole Miss on this one by the score of 27-17. Now, in the ACC, another ranked team going on the road facing an unranked team. You've got SMU traveling to Charlottesville to take on Virginia. And of course, SMU comes into this contest favored by 10. They're in first place in the Atlantic Coast Conference. They're the only team in the ACC that is still undefeated within the league. And believe it or not, they're 2 wins away from getting to Charlotte for the ACC championship game. You think about SMU, you think about their ground attack with running back Brashard Smith. I like this Mustangs defense. They've got 14 interceptions so far, and you got to keep an eye out for linebacker Kobe Wilson. For Virginia, a win here would make them bowl eligible for the first time since 2019, as Tony Elliott has been building brick by brick, getting things turned around in Charlottesville. For Virginia to come out here and get the upset win at home, definitely keep an eye out for wide receiver Malachi Fields. But I look at it like this: SMU is very talented, and I think that talent will win out. They're going to take the Mustangs on the road by the score of 31-20. Now, back in the Big Ten, you've got fourth-ranked Penn State traveling to Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And of course, a couple of years ago, Penn State came to Minneapolis, ranked fourth in the nation and undefeated, and they wound up leaving losers. This time around, Penn State's heavily favored. They're favored by 11 and a half. You think about that nasty Nittany Lions defense, which is led by Abdul Carter. He's going to go out there and try to make life tough for Minnesota quarterback Max Brosmer. And it's not just Abdul Carter, because his presence just opens up so many other opportunities for other guys. And of course, when Penn State's defense gets on a roll, simply get out of their way. You think about the Nittany Lions, you think about their offense with the running attack of Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. Drew Aller is a seasoned vet at quarterback. And then, of course, Mr. All-World at tight end Tyler Warren, as well as wide receiver Harrison Wallace. For the Gophers to go out there and pull the upset, they've got to be crisp on offense with the likes of running back Darius Taylor and wide receiver Daniel Jackson. And then this Minnesota defense, they got 16 interceptions so far. Can they force Drew Aller into making some mistakes? And of course, they're going to need a big game from their leader defensively in linebacker Cody Lindenberg. Like I said, Penn State is favored by 11 and a half. The over-under is 44 and a half. But I'm going to take the Nittany Lions in this one by 2 touchdowns, 34-20. Now, in the Big 12, you've got 14th ranked BYU taking on 21st ranked Arizona State. And you look at this contest and saying it's in the Big 12. Honestly, this contest right here should be slated for either the Fiesta Bowl or the Holiday Bowl. But nonetheless, these two teams are in the Big 12 now, and this is a de facto elimination game, because the winner of this game still is going to have a chance to get to the Big 12 championship game and, of course, the college football playoff. While the loser, there's no chance for the playoff after this one. I really don't think so. But for the Cougars, they just suffered defeat for the first time this season last week at home, courtesy of Kansas. And for BYU to go on the road and get the win, quarterback Jake Retzlaff is going to have to play better. And then this defense led by linebacker Harrison Taggart. But Kyle Dillingham's Sun Devils are for real. And I think it's time that people start paying attention to this team in Tempe. You look at quarterback Sam Levitt, running back Cam Scatterbo, and wide receiver Jordan Tyson. I guarantee you they are going to make life tough for this Cougars defense. Sun Devil Stadium should be rocking come Saturday. Arizona State is favored by 3 at home, and this is the biggest game that they've had in quite some time in Tempe for this team. I'm going to take the Sun Devils at home by the score of 31-24. Now, staying in the Big 12, you've got 17th ranked Colorado taking on Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. So this game is being held in a city and a state that are not, affiliated with either one of these programs. But nonetheless, Colorado still has to go out there and try to avoid the upset and keep their momentum going. Why? We've just seen in recent weeks, we've seen Kansas get the best of Iowa State and BYU, and now they've got their sights set on Colorado. Colorado won big last Saturday at home on Utah. They felt like they didn't play their best game. They're going to have to play better in this one, because the Buffaloes are only favored by 3 points, in spite of the fact that Kansas comes into this contest sporting a losing record. We know about the talent that Colorado has on offense with the likes of Shedeur Sanders at quarterback, Travis Hunter, the all-world wide receiver, and of course what he does defensively. Then you think about LeJontay Wester, Jimmy Horn, and Will Shepard. But then this Colorado defense has been improving as the season has progressed, and that's going to be important. Why? Because Kansas does not go away, especially with their running game with Devin Neal, Daniel Highshaw, and of course, quarterback Jalen Daniels. They make life tough for opposing defenses. This Jayhawks defense, they're going to be up for the challenge as well. You think about it, keep an eye on defensive end Dean Miller. And as a team, Kansas has 24 sacks this season to go along with 12 interceptions. And you have to keep an eye out for linebacker J.B. Brown. This is going to be a tough test for Colorado. Make no mistake about it. One problem might be one of their toughest games of the year, but I'm going to take the Buffaloes in a squeaker over Kansas by the score of 31-27. Now, a big one Saturday night in Yankee Stadium in New York City is you're going to have 19th ranked Army taking on 6th ranked Notre Dame. And between both of these teams, it's only one loss. And this will take you back to a different era of college football when it was customary to see Army and Notre Dame face off each year, both teams ranked in the top 25, both teams having stellar records. It's been a dream season for the Black Knights. We already know that they're going to the American Athletic Conference Championship game to take on Tulane. And now they've got to deal with Notre Dame, a Notre Dame team that has looked a lot different following their loss earlier in the season to Northern Illinois. You think about the Irish, you think about their 6th ranked defense in the nation, 28 sacks so far and 15 interceptions by this team. And then, of course, the running ability that we've seen from Notre Dame with running back Jeremiah Love and, of course, quarterback Riley Leonard. And speaking of running, you know what you're going to get with Army. Big dose of that triple option attack with quarterback Bryson Daly and running back Kanye Udo. This Black Knights defense, they're ranked 5th in the nation, and this is going to be their biggest test so far this season going up against Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish are favored by 14.5. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere Saturday night in the Bronx for this one. But I'm going to take Notre Dame going away by the score of 34-16. And finally, finishing off in the Southeastern Conference, you've got 7th ranked Alabama looking to keep their playoff and championship hopes alive in the SEC, traveling to Norman to take on Oklahoma. And of course, Boomer Sooner is definitely looking to, derail Alabama's playoff chances. But make no mistake about it, the Tide have been a different team following the loss to Tennessee, especially on defense. And I want to see what this Alabama defense, led by Jahad Campbell and Deontay Lawson, are going to do against a struggling Oklahoma offense. Will they add to the woes and flex their muscles? You know what you're going to get from Alabama offensively. And I think this Alabama offense has looked a lot different ever since Jalen Milroe has been mixing it up more, both as a runner and as a passer, and not trying to primarily be a passer. A lot of talent around him on offense with the likes of Jan Miller and Justice Hayes at running back. And then, of course, the youngster who was a stud tearing up the SEC. I'm talking about Ryan Williams, a wide receiver, and then Jeremy Bernard. For Oklahoma, it's been a struggle. Make no mistake about it in year one in the SEC. A lot of injuries, but of course, the folks in Norman do not want to hear that from Brent Venables. What is quarterback Jackson Arnold going to be able to do against this Alabama defense? That's going to be key right there. Linebacker Danny Stutzman, a linebacker's linebacker as far as I'm concerned. Big 12, SEC doesn't make a difference. This young man can play football. R. Mason Thomas on that defensive line for the Sooners. He's part of a unit that has 32 sacks so far. They're going to have to go out there and ball out as they are big-time underdogs at home. The Tide roll into town, favored by 13.5. I'm going to take Alabama by 13, and I'm going to take the Tide to roll by the score of 30-17. So, folks, those are my key games for this weekend in the world of college football. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.